All right, legends, guardians, and heroes, welcome back to my channel. This is Soul Betty. You can call me Soul. You can call me Betty. Really, you can call me anything you like as long as you hit subscribe down below. Drop me a comment. Today, we're going to focus a little bit on Overwatch and my favorite characters. Might be yours as well. We're going to talk about support today and healing. So I've just spent the better half of the day playing competitive, and I wanted to get your take on how it feels to play a support character. Do you feel accomplished? Do you feel like you're having fun in the game? Do you feel like you're dependent on? These are all things that I'm going to cover in this video. All right, so there's no secret. It is not glorious playing support by any means, right? I'm going to start off with there's two different types of support characters, and I'm not talking different heroes. I'm talking different support characters. The first one is when you're playing in a 4 or 5 stack with friends. Okay. Very enjoyable. Typically, you're getting call outs from the microphone or the voice chat or Discord, whatever you're in, and you're jiving, you're having fun, you're healing. You know, every now and again you might miss something, somebody might call you out, but genuinely you're probably having a lot of fun with your friends. Then there's the second one, the one that I've been trying for the last couple of days, and maybe not as much as an enjoyment as playing with my friends, but solo queuing competitive, right? It is a totally different experience when you're support. And I'm going to talk about that in a moment. So now let's talk about my experience. I think I played 12 or 13 games and we've lost four out of the 12. So pretty good winning streak, I would say. 8 out of 12 we won. The 4 out of 12 that we lost were, I think 3 of them were heartbreakers, like really close. 2 of them we definitely shouldn't have lost. We kind of threw at the end. And then 2 of them, we were basically handed our asses. So we should have lost those 2, no question. Okay. I will also comment that I think the matchmaking now that I'm in gold is a little bit more steady in the sense that the blowouts don't happen quite as much as they were last week. And it feels like the skill levels for the most part are pretty even, like almost like the game is figuring out what people's elos are and tries to balance it from an elo standpoint for matchmaking. I don't know if that's the case, but it does feel a little bit better. The 4 games that we lost, every time that we lost, the blame went to support. Didn't matter what the situation was. Didn't matter how the game was lost or won. It was support's fault, right? So my experience, and I really didn't understand it at first. I was like, well, maybe we're messing up as support. Maybe I messed up 4 games. But then I go to the games that we won, and there's not a lot of difference, right? What I'm noticing is that, supports are very important in the game, but it's not a glorious hero to play by any means, right? So typically, when we'd lose a game, I would hear from either DPS or tank, and then they would say, hey, we didn't get enough heals. I think one of the games I had 18,000 or 18K heals, which to me seems like a lot, but in the context of the game, maybe not, right? And both of our supports had more healing than the other team. Now, that didn't happen all 4 games, but this one in particular kind of got to me. I was like, okay, weird. And I went back and watched the gameplay a little bit, and there was times that I missed some healing for sure with the tank, but I also found that the tank was out of place or felt like out of place all the time. Didn't play with the team for the entire game. And granted, sometimes that should be the case, but also, when you're running away, at some point you got to take some accountability, right? Like, I can't just chase you around all game. That's pretty huge. Another game, definitely the healing. Definitely my play wasn't really good. Got called out for it, but it was when Farah entered the game. So we were doing really good the first round. Farah came in, and I just continued to die to Farah. That was the only hero that I was dying to, and both our healers were going down to this. And I totally understood it. I would say the healers definitely did throw. We were out healed, probably 2-1 from the other team. But Farah was just tearing us up. And that was really tough, right? And I didn't know what to do in that case. I switched from Lucio. I went over to Moira, even played some Kiriko, even tried doing some Mercy. So I was switching around a lot, but I was just getting eaten up. The only one that I could kind of get away with was with Mercy, but then the DPS on the ground would really get us. So, that was kind of frustrating as well. So that kind of really came back to us. Another thing that I saw that was real interesting is my flankers, my DPS flankers. Were getting frustrated in some of the games, especially the ones that we lost. They would flank and get out of position, or what I thought was out of position. And, they would end up somewhere that I just didn't have a good spot to heal, especially when I was Lucio. Like, I would literally have to try to come their way to get them healed. And a lot of the times I was either getting picked off because I was out in the open, or I couldn't get to them in time and they'd get frustrated, right? So, couple other things I want to call out from a healer standpoint that you probably all know, but can definitely be frustrating. So in the 8 wins that we had out of those 12 games, not once did I hear support getting called out. My last game, both support players were double the support players of the other team. And it's kind of funny because tank was, I think, 1,000 damage over. It was like 14 to 13,000. And then our DPSs were just under their DPSs. But right away you hear, tank difference, or I think in this one was like Genji difference or whatever the case was. And that's fine. Not a big deal. Support, again, not a glamorous role. But typically when you win, it's because of the tank or because of DPS. But when you lose because of support. And I really think that this is a toxic trait in the game. And, for you heroes that are out there that are not in Grandmaster, you really need to check yourself. And I hate to say that in a video, but you need to check yourself. You got to figure out for just a couple of minutes, like, one, hey, it's a video game. Let's not get super frustrated in a video game and start calling people out. You can definitely call out their gameplay, but when it starts getting a little bit more personal, like some of the things that I saw today, like I think kill yourself came up a couple times, don't queue, uninstall the game, stuff like that. Sometimes it can be joking. Yeah, absolutely. But some of the stuff that I saw and some of the gameplay that I saw from these DPS and these tank players were just, they're uninspiring at best. That's the way I'll put them. It definitely didn't seem like they were pro players by any means, and giving criticism to other players, especially kind of sitting on the support, didn't sit well with me. And I want to make sure that we get that message out there. One, play your game, okay? If you're having a hard time because of other players that are in the game aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing in your view, adjust, adapt, and change. Change your game. If you feel like you can make an improvement with one of your players and you can coach, provide constructive criticism, provide feedback, but do it in a way that is positive. If they don't listen, just move on. There's no reason to get angry. There's no reason to get mad. You just move on and you play your game. Okay. Offer up that support. If there's a way that they can become better players, I'll tell you, I've been in many games where somebody will say, hey, I would rather have a Mercy, or I'd rather have this, or, play closer to the tank, whatever the case might be. If that's the case, I will switch right away if that's going to make it better for my DPS and my tank. What doesn't make me switch is when you're just complaining, especially when you're not playing very well. Now, there is times where I'll have a tank that's really good, or a DPS player that's really good. And, in that sense, if they're complaining and they're frustrated and upset, I will try to make adjustments to make their game a little bit more enjoyable. And I'm really trying to go for the win. So if that helps us win, that's what we want to do. Okay. Last thing I'm going to leave you with on support. So this is how I play support. And if you're not playing support, then in my opinion, you don't have a say in how support plays in your game. I don't play tank. I don't play DPS in most of these games, so I don't tell tanks or DPS how they should play. I focus on my support game. I focus on my enjoyment for the game and how much fun I'm having. Typically, I don't get triggered or don't get mad. I'll get frustrated and throw some things out there once in a while, but even that frustration is just kind of playing more or less, right? So for me, here's how I play. If I go into a game, I'm going to stay close to my tank and try to keep my tank healed, because it's of my opinion that tanks make all the difference in the game. Win, lose, tie, whatever it is, if you can support your tank and your tank is good, you have a better chance of winning. If you have a poor tank, it's very rare that the other 4 players are going to hold up a team. That's just been my experience so far, so I spent a lot of time with the tanks. So if you're queuing up with me in your DPS, you know what? Chances are, if you're not staying close to the team and you're flanking, you're not going to get the heals that you're looking for, depending on who I'm playing. If I'm playing Moira, I will try to shoot an orb your way. If you run away from that orb, well, so be it, because that happens quite a bit, right? Second thing is if I find that we need more DPS on the team, so if my DPS players aren't putting out the DPS or we're falling short and we're not getting the eliminations, I will switch to Moira at that point, and I will start using her for DPS. Now, I'll go to a 50-50 model where I won't necessarily focus on healing, but it doesn't become secondary to me either. It's a 50-50. I will go back and forth as needed to try to put some more elims on the board, or at least to get a little bit more DPS so we can run through a team and create space. If you're not creating space, then I can't heal you, plain and simple, right? That means I'm stuck in the back. So just some things to think about when you're tank or DPS, especially in the lower level lobbies. It makes a huge difference. And you know what? You'll see the gameplay in the background. You can roast me for how I play. That is fine. Been decently successful to it up till this point. Again, I have a long ways to go, and I know my skill set is not there yet, but I'm going to continue to play, and I'm going to continue to have fun. And I want you folks to have fun too, because if you're not enjoying the game, there's really no point in playing it unless you're considering going pro, or you're going to be like a pro-am, or you're doing something like content creation or whatever the case might be to play the game. But there's really no reason to get frustrated. And I'll tell you, when I play with my friends, and maybe I'm just lucky because I've got some really great friends that typically don't get triggered. Again, they'll get frustrated from time to time and throw some things out there, but it's just enjoyable to play with them. And the people that I've met on YouTube and in gaming so far have been so enjoyable to play with. Those are the types of people you want to play with. You don't want to be that guy or that girl that is uncomfortable to play with because you're going to break your monitor, or you're going to uninstall a game, or you're going to break your keyboard, or you're going to rage, or you're going to just, whatever it is that you're going to do, rethink that strategy. All right. I appreciate each and every one of you coming out, checking out the video. Hopefully I can see you in Overwatch or Apex. If you see me in game, use your microphone, shoot me a message. Would love to play with you. Always looking for new players. And I hope to see you soon in the arenas, Guardians and Heroes. Have a wonderful day.